we don't start putting the pieces together about our life purpose, then it just all seems like a mash of sociological and psychological, ontological weirdnesses. This person's quirky and they can't quite get their life together, and I don't know. But when we put it in the context of life purpose, when we combine your wound with what you're good at, what the world needs, and what's marketable, then that middle quadrant starts making a lot more sense. Because now that middle quadrant isn't what do you like to do, it's what have you organized your entire life around to make sure that wound doesn't happen, because there's no sense in trying to fight it. So it's definitely a part of your life purpose.
Hi, and welcome to Stacks Over Tax. I'm Sterling Grace, and this is Mark Lewis. And today we're going to talk about life purpose and how it impacts your wealth, your finances, and your mindset. Mark, why do you think that working away and slaving away without a purpose feels just aimless?
Why do I think it's that way? Oh, I know it definitely is that way. It's okay when you're in your 20s and you're like, oh, I've got all this vigor and I'm just, I'm going to take over the world, and that's fine. But then in your 30s, if you don't really have what am I about in the world, it gets a bit more resistance to keep doing. And then in your 40s and then in your 50s, 60s, guys in their 70s still don't have life purpose. You'll find them just kind of, withered and just kind of aimless and shuffling about. So having a knowledge of here's what I'm kind of here to do, not an easy thing to figure out necessarily. And the mistake that I made early on was thinking that my life purpose had anything to do with my skill set, which at the time it absolutely did not. So if you don't have a life purpose, you don't have to be a man, or it doesn't mean you're a man or a woman. Either one, it's very difficult to go, here's a direction for me to start pointing in, or at least an area that I'm on which I'm going to start attacking, or this field over here, or this contribution. Then I know I'm kind of heading in that direction. I know I'm good. Otherwise, we kind of just spin in the harbor going, I think I'm doing okay. I don't know. I'm not really fulfilled, but this is, I don't know what. You hear this in people's language when they don't really have a life purpose. They're like, I made more money last year. Okay, yeah, what are you going to do with it? I don't know.
Yeah, that's definitely, having lived different places in the United States. I continue to live in Los Angeles, despite all of the reasons why you shouldn't live here. We have terrible taxes. Our city is filthy. We have an insane amount of crime these days. Like, there is an astronomical list of reasons why LA is a terrible place to live. And what makes it super worth it to me is that everybody who comes here with a dream. There's very few people who are born here, live here their entire lives, and like a lot of those folks move. You're one of those guys, right? Like they move. They discover there's other cities with much nicer accommodations than the way we have it here.
No cities at all.
Yeah, exactly. But what I love about Los Angeles is how even the person who's bringing your Uber Eats, they came here because they had a dream. And sometimes that dream has brought them from other countries even. We have a wonderful friend who's a director and a filmmaker who has risked everything to come to Los Angeles and make his dream come true. And you can't help but really, really, really root for him. And you want to see, like, you're waiting for the day that you drive down Sunset Boulevard and see his name on a billboard. And it is inevitable, as I always tell him, it is inevitable because there's too much energy has been put behind that dream for it not to turn out. It's just a matter of time. It's not a matter of hope. And so it's my favorite thing about living in Los Angeles is that the folks come and they're going to do whatever they're going to do. They're going to be the world's best actor, the world's best director, a screenplay writer. They're going to be special effects. They're going to be makeup artists, right? That's actually one of the coolest. Like, those people have the ability to like completely transform someone in every possible way with some latex and some paint. They're going to be brilliant at lighting. God bless lighting. Right. One of the other things you learn about living in Los Angeles really quick is, man, does lighting make a difference? You will be walking around and walk past somebody and go, that looks like so and so. It is. It is so and so. There's just not all the lights on them. so, um, and but yeah, it's one of my favorite things about living here. I know that you have this amazing process that's like kind of a 4 quadrant process, but can you tell us a little bit about that and how that works, or if there's, if it got you where you were going when it came to purpose?
Yeah. Back in 2009, I did a weekend in the mountains of Los Angeles, specifically for men, on helping you get in touch with your legacy and your father and your grandfather and all that, resolving that. And one of the things they do is they kind of send you out into the woods and to kind of go ruminate on a few things, subjects that they give you. And one of them was figuring out your life purpose. Now, I had no idea. I thought at the time I knew what it was because I was a composer in Hollywood and directing. And I'm like, oh, yeah, it's making media. But it never really made sense to me. I had a great deal of skill. All my degrees were in it. I mean, I'd done dozens and dozens of films by that point. And so I was really, really experienced. But it still didn't feel like it was enough of a legacy to leave if I were to die the next day. And one of the gentlemen who was a facilitator there walked me through a visualization with my 5-year-old self that actually had me get some really weird esoteric wisdom from that 5-year-old self that had me realize what it was that I was here to do. Now I have it all very well. It's been however many years that is, 14, 15, 16 years of figuring it out and getting down to the nitty gritty and the details, and lots of help around it too. But if you don't have a specific life purpose, and I don't mean like, oh, I'm here to help people. Yeah. Well, a lot of people are here to help people. That's not a life purpose. That's just a big blob of, I kind of want to go in that direction over there. But specific life purpose, then it's very difficult to get specific about things that you say yes to, and more importantly, the things you say no to. So I learned this. I went through this. I didn't learn. I went through this process with this gentleman. And then over the course of months and even years, discovered, hey, this is another part of that. This is another part of it. This is kind of how I am here and here and here, and how other people respond. And there's 4 quadrants. If we look at life purpose, that generally, if you read the books, they kind of say, oh, here's your 4 quadrants. And it's the stuff that you're good at. It's the stuff that you like to do. It's the stuff that the world needs. And it's the stuff that's marketable. So again, it's the stuff that you're good at, the stuff you like to do, the stuff that the world needs, and the stuff that's marketable. And if you have those as 4 big circles, they all kind of interact right in the middle, and then that's your life purpose. And then there's sort of pseudo ones that might be on the charitable side for you, or just work as a job, the slivers that meet 2 or maybe 3. But the ones that meet all 4 in the middle, that's the key bit for you, and that's your life purpose. And it's we see these, there's lots of people talking about this. But what's missing that's not the part of this, which is absolutely critical, in particular with men, but I think also with women, is getting rid of the thing that you like to do. Nobody cares that you like to do it. It's the things that you're good at, what is marketable, yes, and what the world needs. All 3 of those critical, because why do we care if we have things that you like to do, but there's no things that you're good at? If you're not good at it, whatever it is, then that's dumb. You're going to have to eventually get good at it. So we got to get rid of that you like to do it. But what would we replace it with? Well, this exercise that this gentleman had me do had me get in touch with something that we in the men's work call your wound. That's the thing that happened to you. Maybe it happened to you a lot, but certainly the first time this happened to you, to generate what we'll call a winning formula that has you either make sure that it never happens again, because it was so painful, so difficult, so distasteful, so damaging, wounding, the wound, that you created a set of skills that make sure that that never happens again to you. First, That's your winning formula. And it's a protection that's around your wound, that thing that happens. Now you're watching this, you probably know exactly what that thing is. You might not know. You might have dissociated. Whatever it is, it's in there and it's shaped everything that you're good at in life now by the time you're an adult. From there, depending on who you are as a human being, you either go to the light side or to the dark side. The light side is, I not only don't want it to happen to me, I don't want this to happen to anybody else either. And that is the quadrant, the circle of your wound. Then if you go to the dark side, that is what you're going to punish the world with because it did happen to you. You're going to develop a skill set that damages and gets retribution for what happened to you. Now, both are perfectly valid. I'm not saying one's better than the other, although I prefer one over the other. But it is a natural reaction. So the sociopaths go to the dark, obviously, and the other normal, we'll say normal folks, go to the light. Now, that doesn't mean that even if you're on the light side, what you've created around yourself is helpful, beneficial to you. It's just a reaction. Now, people who are not so successful in, maybe being socially connected to people or holding a job, there's something in there that their survival mechanism may have had them say, it's not good to hold a job. It's not good to be successful and connected with people. That could cause you to have this wound again. We're going to create a winning formula that could actually be damaging to relationships or bad with a boss. All of that is perfectly legitimate if considered in alignment with, it's just protecting you from your wound. But if we don't look at it this way, if we don't start putting the pieces together about our life purpose, then it just all seems like a mash of sociological and psychological, ontological weirdnesses. This person's quirky and they can't quite get their life together, and I don't know. But when we put it in the context of life purpose, when we combine your wound with what you're good at, what the world needs, and what's marketable, then that middle quadrant starts making a lot more sense. Because now that middle quadrant isn't what do you like to do? It's what have you organized your entire life around to make sure that wound doesn't happen? Because there's no sense in trying to fight it. Your whole life is organized around that should never happen again. So it's definitely a part of your life purpose. The absence of which means you don't really have a legitimate life purpose because you're just saying, oh, I don't want to deal with that. Well, okay, but everything about your life is that. Some people get turned into comedians because the pain was so much they realized for them that if I'm funny, that'll never happen to me again, or it helps me process it. For me, my part of what I was is that everything I do is of the highest level, the fastest, the best, the strongest results. In fact, it's better than you. In fact, that makes me better than you. And as long as I'm better than you, you can't get mad at me. And if you do, I'm going to go, let's look at your results for a second. Let's look at that. See how that sucks. And my results are way better. I'm not saying it's true, but that's the mechanism that I've run. I'm an A student. I graduated magna cum laude without reading a single textbook. Just everything that's as best as I can do. And that creates a whole bunch of other problems, I grant you. But that's generated for me from putting those four things together, a life purpose that sounds like I appropriate esoteric knowledge, resynthesize it, and teach it with excellence to the masses so they can live their best lives. And that's health. I've done it in health. I've done it in media. I've done it in now finance. So, and relationships. Both Sterling and I have done that in relationships, although her life purpose is a bit different than mine. So that's where it doesn't kind of matter how I'm doing it. If I'm doing that, making the world a better place so they can live their best lives with secret knowledge. We talked about in another podcast, the magician energy. I'm always running magician, creating the secret knowledge, finding it, weird things. How can we put these all together and synthesize something great for people? That's what I'm about. And that came about because in my wounding was a place of, if only I'd known, it wouldn't have happened. If only I'd known, that would have never happened. So now I'm like, then I must know. And since I ended up on the light side, thank God, I want to make sure everyone else knows. Does this make sense? Am I going off a deep end?
No, it really makes sense. And it has me think about some people in our life who are exceptionally impactful in the world, and how they've taken the thing that was really painful and cultivated it into being something that's just astronomically beautiful. Right. We have a great friend who felt left out all the time. And so his really amazing gift is that no one is ever left out, and he finds a way to cultivate an entire community of people where as soon as someone new arrives in that community, they're already loved. They're loved before they got there.
Multi-dimensional inclusion. That's what he's doing.
Yeah, it's really, really, really moving. And to watch him do that week after week after week is just, and in different ways, and as he's grown as a human being, like to see like how he's able to do that in different areas of life, and just really take that and just transmute it into something extremely powerful that changes the world. So it's just it's beautiful. It's a good reason to go looking. It's a good reason to go looking on the shadow side, right? I think a lot of times people are anxious about like, oh, if I find this thing, or if I figure out, these core parts of me that are not the thing I'm most proud of, what will happen? Something astronomical is going to happen, right? That's the really like cool part. It's just, what is the saying about the treasure lies in the place that you don't want to go look, right? Right. In the cave you don't want to go look in. So, I loved this conversation. This is beautiful. I don't think about purpose the same way. I know purpose is very like, Mark is very oriented towards the word's purpose. He would ask me what my purpose is when we've been friends for 20 years. He's asked me along those 20 years what my purpose is. I don't think of it like that. I think of it like my art, right? I think of it more like an unfolding. I think of it more with more creativity. To me, it always felt like picking a purpose felt super concrete and didn't allow enough for evolution for me.
Does it feel limiting?
Yeah, it does. That's why I always think it's funny because he'll ask me sometimes about my purpose, and I'm like, I don't know what that word means. It's the same conversation. I remember having a conversation with a man, and he asked me if I was driven, and I thought, God, no, right? Am I passionate? Yeah, for sure. I'm passionate about all kinds of things.
I'm driven by good men.
Yeah.
I'm driven by good men everywhere I want to go.
Exactly. So, but yeah, that word didn't resonate with me. Purpose doesn't necessarily resonate with me too much, but art does, right? And my art is sort of what I show up for in the world. And that makes sense also because I have a value that's about beauty and elegance and spirituality. And I felt like that more integrated into the idea of my art of my life. And what masterpieces will I be leaving in different areas, and whether they are tiny or whether they're really big scale. I tend to be a big scale person. So a long time ago, I was an artist, and all of my prints were 6x6 or 10x10 foot prints. And so you really have to be clear about what you're saying, because you've definitely committed if you're printing something 6 feet tall.
The exercise that I was run through back in 2009, we do work with our clients with, and we definitely cause them to find, at least help them find their life purpose, because it is so important. So if it's something that you're interested in to find out more, just reach out to us, and we'd be happy to set up a discovery session. But otherwise, it's so important. You don't have to do what we do. I think, especially if you're a man. I think also women who are in a very masculine role at work, this is helpful for them to go, instead of just, I need to go make more money, I'm going to go move to the next job. It's like, well, what are you really about in the masculine for you? Obviously, you have a whole other feminine side, but the you having to work in a masculine capacity, having at least some purpose of, I'm here, kind of this is going to sound mean, but starving my feminine while I'm at work for this. This is the reason why I'm here. And then it gives you a bigger context than just I'm at work and what do I do now? Where am I going to go? Because money shouldn't be the only driver for choices in terms of career and those kinds of things to me.
Yeah, I completely agree. Life is very short. I need something that I get up and I'm excited about and that I can't wait to go do. And that feels like a fun adventure, right? One of my other qualities is sort of adventure. So if it doesn't feel like if I thought it was going to get up and look at emails every day, like that would never get me out of bed. I would not be able to pull that off. I'd rather starve to death than spend my day reading emails. But if it feels like an adventure and it feels like I'm going to be helping someone and it feels like I'm going to provide them information that changes the way they see the world or the way that they see their family or their pocketbook or their business, then that feels super, super worth it. And, but yeah, you can leave us some comments about what your purpose or your art is in the world, and even if it's not the thing that you do 9 to 5, because a lot of times those two things don't match at all, then they don't need to. Like it's nice when they do, it's amazing when they do, it's fun when they do, but sometimes it's I go to the grocery store and there's a man who's worked at the grocery store for 20 years that I go to here in Los Angeles, and he's a cashier at the grocery store. I don't think he's anything else. I don't think he's one of our LA waiting to be an actor people. But man, he is fully embodied in being a human being that connects with people, that has amazing conversations. You can tell he leaves his end of his day content with who he is as a person. And it's such an unusual thing to see that I will wait. I could go check out and be done in 3 seconds, but I will always wait to see him because it's such an amazing experience. So somebody who's really embodied in their purpose and in their energy in the day is just so magnetic and so happy. You can just tell he's just happy. And for something that's such a basic job, and I'm sure he's a brilliant man. That is even a question. So, but I wonder. Part of me wonders. I wonder what he does when I don't see him, right? I wonder who he is the rest of the time, and if he's an amazing artist, or if he's something that's, if he's doing something else.
Batman.
He might secretly be Batman. I got to be really honest. We could certainly use a secret Batman around here. So, but yeah. So, drop us a line. Tell us about your purpose or your art, and we look forward to having more of these amazing conversations with you.
Yeah. Until then, be wealthy.
It will be. Bye.